Welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack on Productions. Today I'm going to be joined once again by Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
And he's finally made Rilldo. Just like me, he's just making a bunch of decks to only please ourselves and no one else.
Only me.
Yep. Buttons on both. Feel free to click them there for a reason. But let's get into today's profile.
Yep. So I took second with Rilldo somehow because of points breakdown, but I think technically Austin took second. But the site says that I took second place, so this is the second place Rilldo profile. If you don't know what Rilldo does, on swing he gets to play a machine mutant with an energy cost of 1 for free, which is really nice. And then his awakens actually really interesting in that he awakens at 4 life, or he can remove 3 cards out from under Super Sigma. Put those cards under himself, draw 1, untap 1, and take his life down to 6, which is really interesting awaken, and it does fuel a effect on the backside. Once per turn, if you activate Evolve or Union Absorb, you draw a card. The auto is the exact same. You get to play a 1-drop Machine Mutant. And then activate Battle. You remove a card out from under him, and he gets 5k for the duration of the battle. So, not super fantastic on the backside. The real thing that makes him good is getting to play the 1-drop off of swing. You don't draw on swing, which can kind of be awkward in some situations, and there are some times of this deck where you will feel that your hand is kind of stagnating, but usually you can get a cycle going and you can be replacing cards and drawing a lot of cards, and basically you're going quality over quantity when it comes to cards in hand. But to get right into the deck, we'll just talk about just the absolute best card in the deck, the Baby Juvenile Parasite. This card is absolutely nuts, and people just recently, I think, figured that out because there was a big price spike in this card. I think mainly because most people are playing this in U7, but this is just the best Unison for this deck, hands down, easy. There is the Topo from the Jiren deck, because that can play a 1-drop battle card at the end of the turn. So there's some like little cheesy plays you can do with that with some of the cards we'll get into in the future. But this card is just absolutely snap. So this is my choice. Permanent. If all your energies in rest mode, your card gains 1,000, which is basically might as well be plus 5,000. The second permanent is that you can remove a card out from under him to keep a marker off of an attack. And then the +1 is you draw a card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, put it under him, and gains plus 10,000 power for the turn. So essentially this is a +2 because if you snag an opponent's battle card, if they attack into this, you can just pitch that card out from under him, and it's the equivalent of, having an extra marker. The card is just absolutely busted. This is your supplemental draw. He's really sticky. He's not going anywhere. He is at 10k, but he has so much protection on him, and you have so many blockers in this list that once this guy's established, your opponent has to work very, very hard to remove him, which is what I really, really like about this card. And plus, if you can't tell, Baby is my favorite character in all of Dragon Ball, so getting to play more Baby cards, I'm always hyped for. I will say, I say this with every profile, there will be another iteration of this deck once I get the Baby promos. I do want to run the Monkey Chain in this because that seems really, really fun. Shut up, Austin. Some Unison support cards, Videl, it's just an upgraded version of the Yamcha, in my opinion. It's just run this card over Yamcha. Not much to say about it. Actually, more Unison support cards. I forgot about these. So this card, I think just about everybody has walked up to me and went, how did you get that under your Unison? I don't think people are reading the hand or battle area in this section. So you could choose one of your opponents or one of your Unison cards with 10k or less, 10k or more power, and just pitch it under there and add a marker to it. And then you can pay it out for 3, has deflect, then you can Spirit Boost 3, neg the board 30k, and gain triple attack. This is one of your big boss monsters. I mainly just use this for clearance and not going for game because I like going for game on like double strikes in this list. So the activate main is almost like a +2 to the Unison because you do pitch a body under him. So you can pitch out this card out from under it if you want to keep a marker, which not the best, but if your opponent's really gun-ho on getting rid of your Unison, it's a last resort option. So that's why I run 2 of them. I'm thinking about just cutting down to 1 because you can just reload him under the Unison from the battle area after you used it. But I don't know. I kind of like having it at 2. I'm going to play around with the deck a little bit more. It might change in the future. Going into the main chain, we have our Nezi, the Bizu, and the Ribet. So they search out each other in a chain. So Nezi searches out Bizu, Bizu searches out Ribet, Ribet searches out Nezi. This is, you want to open with either a Ribet or a Nezi. Because Nezi is the Union Absorb target. It also is the only one with Barrier. And these can all play off of your leader card for free. So the Union Absorb, you tap 1 red energy. You absorb the other robots from either your hand or your battle area or battle area. And then you search your deck and play a Super Sigma. So the best play is to play out your Nezi, then grab the Bizu, and hopefully already have a Ribet, or, you know, then your turn 1 play after that is just tap 1 for the Bizu, search out the Ribet. You have 1 on board, have this in hand, swing with your leader, play this guy out, search another one of these from your deck, then tap 1 and go into the fusion, and then you have another Nezi in hand for your next chain. And to talk about the card you go into, Super Sigma, this card is actually like surprisingly like really, really good. It's a barrier blocker, which for some reason like just people like get stumped on a barrier blocker.
It's a 20k barrier blocker.
20k barrier blocker. On entry, it negs everything 10 and draws a card, which is just really, really nice. And it does have an activate battle that you can pay 2, and then play this card from the drop area by blowing up your robots in the battle area and whatever. That's never really happens. Once you kind of establish this, it's not really going anywhere, and you're probably just going to evolve on top of this. So it's... you're usually going to go into it off of this chain because it's just a little bit more energy efficient. And everything in this deck's fairly cheap, so paying 2 energy for something is kind of just... it's just gross sometimes. So I kind of disregard that effect. There probably are some situations where you could do that to some good effect. Talk about some more 1-drops before we go into the rest of the chain. We have 4 each of the Rildos. So they both have the exact same unit absorb. They pay 2 energy, absorb a Super Sigma from your hand or battle area or drop area, and then play a 5-drop General Rilldo on top of them. The only difference is that the Battle of Planet M2 is just a draw a card, and then the other is just a top 5 searcher for Machine Mutant. They're both situational. Usually I just like drawing a card, but there's some situations where you might need to search out like your 7-drop or maybe your 5-drop if you are wanting to go for an evolved play. But I do like these. Again, 2 energy is kind of steep in some situations, but they're nice to have as an alternative to get out the 5-drops. And to talk about 5-drops, one of the old one, it's double strike. When it comes in, it's going to neg cards 10k, and then on swing, it will blow up a battle card of your opponent. Your opponent has that's 10k or less. Not the best one. It's probably just going to get straight up cut because I have not once played it. This has just been either a charge target or a bottom decking it with my super combo. The ones you really want to play are the new 5-drop. So it's a blocker and can evolve on top of a Super Sigma for 1 energy. On play, it can either draw you a card. If you choose to not draw a card, you get to play a Planet M2 from the deck. So if you already have seen both of your Planet M2s, or you just don't want to play another one, you can just draw a card straight off of them. And then a very interesting activate battle, you place 1 card out from under him, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, put it into their life, and then restand him.
Reverse Rejuvenate?
Reverse Rejuvenate, yes. There's been a couple times where my opponent has been setting up for a Awaken like pop-off turn, and then I just, when they swing, I block with this guy, activate battle, put whatever battle card they have in play into their life, and then they can no longer awaken or set up, and it kind of just shuts down their entire play. So don't disregard this as like, oh, this is a shitty thing, like why would you want to give your opponent more resources? There are some situations where this card can actually like pivot a game just because your opponent has 1 extra life. So I really like this card. I like the design of this card. It's situational, but I like it better than the other 5-drop, because the only way to play this 5-drop out is off of the 1-drops, unless you want to tap 5 energy for it. The best way to play it is just to evolve on top of your Super Sigma that you already have in play. And there are our new Planet M2s. Mechanized Planet, this card is treated as Planet M2. On play, if your leader card's Dr. Myuu, you draw 2 cards and discard 1, and then activate battle. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards. Switch this card to rest mode. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards. Negative by 1,000. Again, very relevant. You might just look at that number and disregard it because it's a small number, but whether you win by an inch or a mile, you're still winning a battle. So don't disregard that 1,000. It can get you out of,
I mean, think of a 15 to a 15 swing.
Yeah,
Activate battle to 14.
Exactly, and plus with the baby Unison giving you an extra 1k, like, your opponent's already having to combo up on those attacks. Like, there's just some situations where you could just like just inch them out, and it feels really bad losing battles to by 1,000. For our top end, I actually just completely forgot that I wasn't running a playset of these in the list. Otherwise, this would be a 4 of. So this is the top end outside of the SR, which we'll get into in a moment. So he's a double strike, barrier blocker, evolves on top of a General Rilldo with an energy cost of 5, and then activate battle. During your opponent's turn, you can pitch a card out from under him and restand him, and he loses 5,000. So you can just block so many fucking attacks with this card. If you played it off of the 1-drop, you don't have a lot of fuel to go off of, but if you play it off of the robots chain with like the Super Sigma and into the 5-drop, you will have a lot of cards, and this will just like sit on the board and just constantly block attacks. You do have to sequence when you block certain attacks, because you normally want to wait for like the 15k and like the lower end like Unison swings to block last. If your opponent knows they're sequencing, they're just going to swing with those first and neg your boy down, so that when they swing with their like big boss monster or whatever, they're going to be swinging into like a 20k or 15k battle card, if you so choose to block with this. So if your opponent can play around this card pretty easily, but it can also force your opponent into inopportune plays, and you can catch them off guard with like a Violent Ray or something like that. But to talk about the SR, which honestly, this is probably just going to become a 4th of the new rare. But a little sentimental story, this is actually the first SR I ever pulled in this game. So it does have a special place in my heart, and I've always wanted to play this card. If you don't know what it does, EX evolve 1 energy, place 1 card from your hand in the drop area, evolve on top of a Rilldo with an energy cost of 5 or more. He's double strike, activate main, you blow up a Planet M2, your Mechanized Planet, you draw 2 cards, neg your opponent's leader card by 5 for the turn, and neg all your opponent's battle cards by 10. It's not bad. It's just there's no protection for it, and I feel like most of the time I'd rather just keep this on the board to either block or just swing 30k double strike with than expend this, blow up my Planet M2, and then have a battle card with absolutely no protection, because once you block all you can with this, you can just start turning this card sideways at your opponent, and it's a 30k barrier double strike, which is just really difficult to deal with. Moving on to just red staples, super combos. We run Raditz because you play cards from the deck, you want to put stuff back in there. Testing the op. I'm going to go to like a 4th testing the op, I believe. The card just like overperformed in almost every matchup. You're going to be tapping out a lot, especially like because you want to proc your baby permanent. So being able to just play out a blocker token for free is really nice on top of all the other blockers you have. Violent Ray because it's red. Don't need to say anything else about it. Piccolo, you have a Unison and you're playing red. There's no reason not to play this card. It's just a big boy double strike. Opponent can't block. Really good. Champa because it's Champa. I chose the French one because it just wins you games. It just straight up says that you win the game. If you can't read that, it's because you don't know how to speak French. And then Kai. There are so many Unison-based decks at our locals that I chose Kai just to deal with that, and so many wide fields. There's a lot of meta cooler. So being able to just like warp off all the meta coolers is really nice. I would run like one of the like red like kill you secret rares, something like SSB Vegeta or Gohanks, but I don't actually own those, so I just run Kai instead. But that's the list. I will have a version running the baby chain once I actually get the promos. I'm really excited to play that, saying that baby's my favorite character, but being able to play Myuu and Rildo in the meantime is kind of satiated that for me.
Cool, cool. Well, that being said, thank you for tuning in. Keep in mind, buttons down below and on the screen. And like always, read your cards, know your plays, and fluff out.